Hi, I'm Chris Pupke with the Biophilia Foundation, here today with Rick Leader, the Executive Director of the Scenic Rivers Land Trust. Thank you, Rick, for coming out today.
Good morning, Chris.
Can you tell me a little bit about what Scenic Rivers Land Trust does?
Well, Scenic Rivers is celebrating its 30th year, which is kind of exciting. Started out as a volunteer outfit and kind of grew along the years. We now have almost 2% of the land in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, under conservation easement.
Now, what is a land trust?
Our job is to use tax law and a lot of hand-holding with landowners to help them figure out a way to really do what they want with their land. Most people want to protect their land, either for themselves, for their kids, or for their community. And luckily, all of us, this society, have made tax laws available to help incentivize that.
What impact has the Biophilia Foundation's support had on the Scenic Rivers Land Trust in its work to preserve land and habitat in Anne Arundel County, Maryland?
Well, when the South River Greenway was getting rolling, which was about 2 years before I joined the organization, Biophilia provided the early support to bring together a lot of the community groups to think about this property and the potential that it had and how we could go about protecting it. As I was coming on board, things were growing, and Biophilia gave us some very carefully structured grants that funded about a third of our operating expenses for the first couple years, but with a very demanding match schedule. So it enabled me as a new director to use that support to build our board, build our fundraising capacity, and build the organization that would keep this project going. As we developed our own funding capacity, Biophilia was able to step back a little bit, and we were able to broaden our funding base. National Fish and Wildlife Foundation gained attention of what we were doing. And it really got the ball rolling. I think it was almost $150,000 in support from Biophilia that really got the ball rolling and helped us get going and build a board and build a staff that could keep this sustainable. And here we are 9 years later, and we just preserved more property in the South River Greenway than we've had in this single year than we had in the past 5. The state of the union is strong, and Biophilia helped us get that started.
And where do you work? You mentioned 2% of Anne Arundel County you've got protected. Where is Anne Arundel County?
We're outside of Annapolis, Maryland, which is the capital of Maryland, and we operate on 5 rivers: the Severn, South, Patuxent, West, and Road, and kind of stray to some Herring Bay and some other places. So it is most of the county. It's relatively suburban in about half of the county and relatively rural in the other half. And interestingly enough, a lot of our easements are in the more suburban areas, and we're expanding. There's room to grow in the southern portions. It is a high rent district, so preserving land in that area is tough and expensive. I'm always jealous when we hear of somebody out west protecting 1,000 acres. We're protecting 45. But 45 acres in a highly developed area just outside of DC and Baltimore is very important.
And what is special about this part of the Chesapeake Bay region? You mentioned 5 rivers and Herring Bay, the South Severn.
The miles of shoreline, the amount of forest, the amount of habitat along the waterways, combined with the very intense development pressure that puts extra stress on those waterways. And that makes it all the more important to protect those forested areas, those wetland areas that provide the filtering and the cooling for the water and the remaining habitat. And we really try and work to find corridors between some of the habitat that still exists to make it as valuable as possible for wildlife.
Tell me more about these corridors between wildlife habitat areas.
Well, we're very active in the South River Greenway, and South River Greenway links through some sparse woods to the Severn Run, which is another important area, through another sparse corridor. It links with the Fish and Wildlife's Patuxent Wildlife Refuge. But you're also looking at links between smaller parcels. We work with BG&E on power line right-of-ways. That is a great link between 20 acres on one side and 20 acres on the other. The power line right-of-ways are usually managed as meadow habitat. Pretty good corridor for a lot of critters to get back and forth.
What types of land do you protect?
A little bit of everything. We tend to be biased towards forested properties. We've preserved a lot of meadow habitat. We tend not to do a lot of farm preservation because there are other programs that are more lucrative than ours. So we will act as a resource for farmers to get them to some of those programs. And for a smaller farm, we've also done some preservation there. We've done 1,000-acre county properties, and we've done a giant hunk of land next to a Smithsonian facility. So it's a wide variety. The vast majority are 10 to 20 to 30 acres in a neighborhood outside of Annapolis.
What is the South River Greenway?
Well, it is a construct, if you will, that defined an area of 6,000 acres of relatively contiguous and intact forest. And this is where we first met biophilia. This was identified by Fish and Wildlife and a lot of other organizations as an enormous preservation opportunity. It had been protected from development over the years largely by topography, some old farm dumping, and a desire to keep the area rural. And of that 6,000, we really targeted 3,000 acres, trying to put together as many contiguous properties as possible. We started with a core 1,000-acre county property, which we hold the easement on, and we've been very interactive with the county on how to manage that property. It's an Audubon Important Bird Area. It is critically rated by Fish and Wildlife for herps. 100 miles of small streams, many of them degraded. We've been able, along with our protection, to attract some storm restoration projects to that property. And once that 1,000-acre core was protected, we started trying to pick off some of the properties around it. So we identified 36 properties that had high potential for preservation. Started to tell the story of the South River Greenway, brought every tool we put into the mix, and we've gotten the county to buy about 6 of those properties. We have easements now on 3 more, and so that 1,000 acres is now more like 1,600, and we continue to pursue more. So it is 10 minutes, 20 minutes from Baltimore, 10 minutes from Annapolis. As I said, an Audubon Important Bird Area, incredible habitat, lots of opportunities for public access. We've allowed a pilot mountain biking trail through the property that seems to be working out really well, and no wildlife disturbance issues. There's a good chance to add another 500 acres as part of an old hospital property renovation. So the opportunities are rich. It's exciting.
So this is a pretty large, more or less intact wildlife area, tucked, nestled, if you will, kind of in that triangle between Baltimore, Washington, and Annapolis.
Yes, it is. It's unusual to find that big a parcel with mature forest, modest threats other than from development, and already incredible established wildlife.
Of the South River Greenway, what kind of wildlife do you see enjoying the Greenway?
You know, it's a scrubby forest, so a lot of the scrub birds are strong in that area. We of course have a big deer population. We've got excellent herp population because it's a lot of wetlands. And so when we do our walk for the woods, the most exciting hike is the herp walk, where they always go out and find a few snakes.
And tell me about your annual walk in the woods.
Well, this large area, partially because of where it's located and where some highways are that frame it, has had limited public access. And we believe that public access is part of protection on a conservation project. If people don't get out on the land, they're not going to appreciate it. If good behavior, families hiking through the woods, is not happening, bad behavior happens in a vacuum. And so we like to see positive activity. So we started a walk through the woods once a year. The gates would all be thrown wide open on this property. And we have a series of guided hikes and then a whole lot of just go out and play on your own and get your kids muddy. And it's really turned into a nice event. We're now 14 years. It's kind of branded us. Biophilia funded some of the early work to get that started. It has been an opportunity to talk about why a place is special and how you can use it in a careful way and keep it special.
Is there anything else about Scenic Rivers Land Trust that we should know?
I just think we want to continue to bang the drum in these tough financial times that conservation easements are the most cost-effective way to preserve land. There's a great opportunity to help landowners. There's a great opportunity to help local governments, and state government, and federal government that can't handle the maintenance cost and the purchase cost of acquiring land, to partner with landowners to have the land managed in the way we would most like it for conservation.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Chris.